Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. It's Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today we are talking Big Brother once more. Today, I just wanted to kind of break down a portion of, as some of these postseason interviews are coming out with different podcasters, there is one thing in particular that I want to address, and that is in regards to, there was like a lot of questions about Joseph's interest in Taylor during the show. And for some reason, I'm not sure why this is a question, because I watched the live feeds. I saw what their conversations were 24/7. I was up all night till like 8 or 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think it was, seeing their conversations, seeing when they talked about potentially dating on the outside and what that potentially looked like. So I was a little confused that people, because there wasn't anything happening intimately on the show, that meant that there was not any romantic interest on Joseph's part. Joseph was there to try to win the game. He was there to try to, see how far he can get in the game and potentially win. Make some moves, figure out the best strategies and things of that nature. I'm sure he wasn't expecting to, fall for Taylor and everything else, but he did answer a question that I want to give credit for reality recaps to speak on, in terms of what ultimately is, was his feelings in the house, and were there anything that we weren't privy to as to kind of the magnitude of what Taylor could potentially be on the outside. So let's take a listen.
Yeah, so actually Taylor and we would have these things called lockdowns where the live feeds are cut and everything. That's where Taylor and I primarily had our conversations in respect for just privacy and her thought process. I really wanted her honest opinion on it, no influence by the fact that she's being recorded. And that's where a lot of our conversations about where we want to go with this would happen. In the house, primarily, we were playing a game for $750,000 where ultimately only one person can win. And having watched Kyle and Alyssa and the complications that arose of them trying to start a relationship in the house and play the game, had me extremely wary to do the same thing. Once I even got close to Taylor, I already had people asking me. Turner was one of them, being like, are you guys a thing? What's going on here? And as you can clearly tell from Direfest, they already started to check out from the leftovers. They already were grouping Taylor, Monty, and I together. And I was like, at some point, this is going to lead to me and Taylor, one of us losing the game, which was not my priority, because I needed us three to make it to final three. And I don't know if you guys if this was highlighted, it wasn't just Taylor. I started to distance myself from Monty as well for a game perspective. It wasn't just Taylor, Monty as well. I start to just drawing some lines and refraining from engaging with, because I'm trying to get all of us towards the end of the game, which I know is important to us all. That's the first three things. And another one is the house is not a very emotionally encouraging environment. So I really didn't want to be put in a position where, I could hurt Taylor further than the game aspect. That being said, if let's say it came down, not that I wouldn't take Taylor to a final two or anything, I just thought it would be such a delicate situation to start it under these circumstances. And I really wanted Taylor to trust me. I really wanted an environment that was productive and that was safe. And the Big Brother house is not that, let me tell you that. Again, we came to play a socially a social experiment for $750,000. That's not necessarily the most romantic endeavor. It's not the very candlelit dinner type situation to get to know somebody, especially considering there's a lot of he said, she said, and then all of that. So that's why I was a little and I wanted to respect her feelings, respect her thought process, really, get her opinion and her thoughts outside of the game. It wasn't just to protect her, but myself as well. Maybe this could be a game move. This could be something. I just wanted the game aspect of this relationship to be removed. And granted, that's why I have a lot of respect for Taylor, because I made that clear. She agreed. So then we were both free to act accordingly until after the game.
So that was, once again, another eloquent response by Joseph. Again, this was from an interview that took place last night on Reality Recaps. I will, of course, link in the description as well as in the comments for those of you who have not had the opportunity to check it out. And I just wanted to quickly react. So basically, Joseph was alluding to these HOH lockdown conversations that we were not aware of. So those of you who are not familiar, those of you who do not watch live feeds, those of you who do not watch Big Brother, essentially what happens is on eviction days, usually, most of the time, is what happens like probably around early morning, sometimes midday or what have you, is they have all of the house guests go into the HOH room, what they call a lockdown. Sometimes there's like music and other things being played while the cast and crew, while the crew is downstairs, either cleaning up in preparation for the live show or getting some things together or doing some things. And they have the house guests all sit in the HOH room until all of that is completed, and then they can resume getting ready, getting prepared, running through, the expectations for that live eviction episode. And so basically what Joseph was saying in those HOH lockdowns was when they really got down to the nitty gritty in terms of whether or not they wanted to pursue something such as a relationship outside of the house. And really they wanted to make it a point to not have any of this be misinterpreted, not have any of this, be misconstrued, that anybody is using anyone or whatever else, because in that aspect, there's no cameras there. The feeds are down during these HOH lockdowns. So pretty much, you're not in game mode. You're really just there trying to get to know other people. And Joseph and Taylor took that opportunity to get to know each other and really see, whether or not, things could progress. And I also like the fact that Joseph said that he never wanted to, mix business and pleasure, especially with what happened with Kyle and Alyssa. Basically, he blew up all of his alliances for her. And ultimately, it didn't benefit him when it was all said and done anyways. And it benefited neither of them because neither of them could get to the end. So he was kind of looking at that and looking at some of the things that were unraveling. He was also looking at the fact that their connection, him and Taylor specifically, was off the charts to the point that their own alliance kept questioning Joseph if they were a thing. And so that just tells you the strength of the connection that Jailer has, that even as friends, even, with the little flirting and things of that nature, that their own alliance was scared, that their own alliance was worried that, this was a couple, and they were hall monitoring them, you guys. They were staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning, hall monitoring them, preventing them eventually from having, their private conversations they used to have until 5 a.m., literally hall monitoring because they wanted to make sure there was nothing taking place. Mind you, they did not do this with Kyle and Alyssa, you guys, who actually were intimate on the show and everything else. And one thing else that I felt that Joseph said, poignantly at the end was like, hey, we established in these HOH conversations what this was going to be, and that as we were currently in the house, that we were both free to move is how we needed to move. But after the show, it was going to be on and popping. So I took that to basically mean, hey, whatever took place, in the show that did not involve me, we are going to be going full steam ahead post-show. Because we are, having a bigger conversation than a showmance or whatever that is taking place during the show. We have something much bigger, is how I interpreted that. And so what I wanted to say is this puts into great context as to why Taylor was so upset in the house, because we didn't have the full context. We had the context, of course, of the blatant lies and how personal it got, specifically from Terrence and Alyssa, and them basically taking the entire 3 weeks and making it personal and really trying to make it seem that Joseph wasn't real, wasn't organic, that the feelings and conversations that they had were not real. So over time, it really started to break Taylor down. And so she would confide, really, Michael was really the only person who tried to reaffirm that, hey, this doesn't sound like Joseph. This doesn't sound like something that he would say. This doesn't sound like something he would do. Let's wait until we get the answers. But it was everyone else, like even Monty and Brittany would start to drink the Kool-Aid. They would start to believe the lies and start to kind of enable the negative Joseph talk, the negative Joseph banter. But the issue that I had specifically with Monty was Monty actually knew the truth, because Kyle actually admitted at the end that, hey, Joseph never really turned his back on anybody. He was loyal to the end. He never said anything, personal or disrespectful against Taylor, like this and that. Like, it was strictly game-related conversations when his back was ultimately against the wall as like a Hail Mary to potentially get back into the house after the twist. But I think Taylor was probably thinking, now it kind of puts into context whatever they discussed during those lockdowns. She's up here thinking maybe that was all fake too. And now that kind of makes sense and puts into context as to how down she ultimately was. Once she was already traumatized, of course, at the beginning from the bullying, but then traumatized again from that HOH comp where she had the, I think she ended up, timing out or what have you. But on the feeds, she actually said that she had a panic attack because she is scared of anything that is pertaining to anything scary. She is scared of, she was also triggered because there was a murder that happened by, somebody she went to kindergarten with. So she was unable to sleep. And that first night she slept out in the bathroom. She wouldn't even sleep in her own bedroom. She did not sleep in her own bed until at nighttime, until the last few days in the house, you guys. So I knew immediately that this, in conjunction with the Joseph stuff, just really kind of took her down, just really kind of deteriorated her mentally and emotionally and everything else. And essentially, she just wanted to get some sleep. She just wanted some comfort at that point. So it all makes sense as to now why those events that took place the last 2 weeks of the show took place, you guys. And it adds a little bit more context to things for those people who were not understanding, the reaction and some of the things that happen and so forth. So I'm glad that Joseph, dropped that little bit of tea so that we can kind of piece together, some of the other things as well. And so now it all makes sense. Now it's a couple of weeks postseason. Joseph and Taylor have appeared to, talk everything out. Now they're watching the show back and now they are thriving, you guys. So there is that. But let me know your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think of Joseph's comments regarding his feelings about Taylor and how all of that manifested, since we really didn't see too much, for one, he was under-edited profusely on the show. But two, he wasn't even on the show long enough to really see if the feelings and crush that him and Taylor admitted to having on each other on the show was ever going to amount to anything, because basically they got split up immediately after Taylor's first HOH. So there was that. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments. Does this add more context for you as to why certain things took place the last couple of weeks? Because if you guys do not remember how relentless Alyssa and Terrence were, especially going hard in the paint with this negative narrative. Turner had started it first, but then over time, he even started to back off and started to be like, oh no, Joseph loves you, blah, 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 blah. But by that point, he had, the damage was already done, they had already, really, had her believe these lies, you guys, had her convinced after 3 weeks that, this might be true. And so that was that. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.